A German saloon keeper burned his pretty wife's face and head dreadfully with vitriol. All the hair on one side of her scalp was destroyed, one of her eyes was blinded, and her face and neck were terribly scarred. She was disfigured for life. The accident happened after this wise. Though the saloon was situated in one of the most sordid of tenement house districts, it did a thriving trade, and its elderly proprietor was very well to do. His wife, a young and beautiful woman, had many somewhat luxurious and extravagant tastes. Among them was a fondness for a certain sort of eau de cologne, which she used lavishly. No present was more acceptable to her than a bottle of this, and scarcely a week passed that she did not receive one as a gift from her uxorious husband. This cologne was purchased at a nearby drugstore. The bottles in which it was put up were of a peculiar shape and provided with glass stoppers. Some months before the accident, her husband had one day told the druggist that the last bottle of cologne he had bought was not up to the standard, and that his wife had complained of it. He insisted, after that, on cutting the kid cap off every bottle he bought, removing the stopper, and testing the cologne before he paid for it. Then he would slip the bottle, unwrapped, into his sack coat pocket, and so take it home to his wife. At about the same time, he developed a playful habit of surprising his wife before giving her the bottle by dashing a little of the cologne into her face, or unexpectedly pouring a quantity of it on her head. His wife objected to these pranks, but he persisted in them. It is a not uncommon practice among saloon keepers to have about their saloons a bottle of strong sulfuric acid. The acid, diluted, is used for cleaning brass spigots and other metal fittings. The playful old beer vendor, whose case we are now considering, was one of those who followed this custom. He had done so for years. As empty cologne bottles were numerous in his establishment, and as their close-fitting glass stoppers made them most convenient receptacles for acids, the vitriol was habitually kept in one of these bottles of peculiar shape. On the morning of the accident, the spigots needed cleaning, and the vitriol bottle was empty. The saloon keeper took it to the drugstore to have it replenished. After the druggist had filled the bottle, the saloon keeper placed it, unwrapped, in the right pocket of his sack coat and was about to go, when it occurred to him to buy his wife a bottle of cologne. This he did, opened the cologne bottle as usual, and after testing its contents, placed the bottle in the left pocket of his sack coat and sauntered back to his saloon. He found his wife there with some friends, and they all drank beer cheerfully together. The friends present had often seen the husband tease his wife by pouring cologne on her head. So when, while she was going to the bar to replenish the beer mugs, he half drew from the right pocket of his sack coat what seemed to be a bottle of cologne, and with a laughing wink called his friend's attention to it, they all knew what was going to happen. They prepared themselves to be amused by the wife's surprise and pettish remonstrances. She came back to the table and sat down. Her husband found some pretext for getting behind her without attracting her attention, cautiously drew the bottle from his right pocket, silently withdrew the stopper, and emptied a half-pint of the fuming acid squarely on his wife's head. The poor woman, shrieking in her agony, fell writhing on the floor. The husband discovered his mistake instantly and was nearly mad with grief. Everyone present saw at once how the disaster had come about and was ready to swear that what had happened was the purest accident. That would probably have been the end of the matter had not the policeman on the beat heard the woman's shrieks and, according to custom, arrested everybody in sight without stopping to ask questions. The whole party was taken before the nearest police magistrate, who heard the story and of course ordered everyone released from custody. One of the court attendants outlined the incident to the first reporter who happened in. The reporter started for the saloon. Not knowing its exact location, he happened to stop in at the drugstore where the vitriol was purchased for a look at the directory. The druggist related, when he heard for whom the reporter was looking, all he knew about the matter, mentioning that he had cautioned the saloon keeper not to get the bottles mixed, and telling, in reply to a question, about the old German's habits of opening every bottle of cologne he purchased before taking it away. Neighborhood gossip indicated that the husband had good cause for thinking that his wife was altogether too attractive for her own good and his peace of mind. The wife's mother, who herself regarded the accident theory with considerable suspicion, confided to the reporter that some months before her daughter had fled to her one night in terror, having the very best possible reason to believe that her husband had discovered that she was deceiving him. Her husband succeeded in convincing his wife by his conduct that he had discovered nothing and suspected nothing, and her fears were allayed. There was found to be a curious correspondence between the date of his wife's fright and the date on which the husband began to open the cologne bottles at the druggist's, and to tease his wife in the manner already described. The reporter strongly suspected that the accident had been very ingeniously contrived, that the husband had carefully thought out a way by which he could with impunity revenge himself and at the same time destroy his wife's dangerous beauty forever. The newspaper man wrote up his story in such a way that those who read it must share his suspicions. The saloon keeper was arrested, indicted, tried, and acquitted. The wife's testimony was colored by her desire to shield her own reputation. Even if she had told the whole truth, the result would have been the same. With such a perfect defense as the husband had prepared before his crime, and the doctrine of reasonable doubt to help it out, conviction was impossible. The saloon keeper went back to his disfigured wife, and they lived and sold beer together as before. But the wife found no more admirers, and has not killed her husband. Yet.